All right, so if you've spent any time in the 40K universe, you know the classic line, right? In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. It's all about this massive, brutal human empire. But what if I told you that whole empire, the entire thing, was built on a complete and total lie? Yeah, let's dig into that.
This proverb, man, it just perfectly sums up the Imperium of the 41st millennium. This is a galactic empire running on pure, uncut xenophobia, rigid dogma, and this fanatical, all-consuming worship of the God Emperor. You know, the guy who's been sitting on the golden throne not moving a muscle for 10,000 years.
And here's the kicker. This is the big, shocking twist we're diving into today. What if that man, the one they literally call a god, actually despised all faith? The entire foundation of the modern Imperium is the exact opposite of the future its founder was fighting to build. So let's do it. Let's peel back 10,000 years of myth, of propaganda, of dogma, and really look at what the Emperor of Mankind actually wanted for humanity.
Okay, this chart right here really just lays it all out. It shows the massive, massive gap between his idea and what we have now. On the left, that's the myth that became reality in the 41st millennium. And on the right, that's the truth of his original vision. He didn't see himself as a god, no way. He was a mortal planner. He wanted a secular government, not some divine rule. And it was all about reason and science, not faith and dogma. The end goal wasn't some spiritual pecking order, it was the psychic ascension of the entire human species, a completely different ballgame.
So yeah, the big takeaway here is that his whole plan, his entire grand design, was for humanity to reach its full potential through its own efforts, through science, through reason, through self-mastery. He truly believed we could be the masters of our own destiny, completely free from the shackles of old superstitions.
Now, to make this happen, he didn't just, encourage science. Oh no. He actively declared war on faith itself. And his main weapon in this ideological crusade was a doctrine called the Imperial Truth.
And the Imperial Truth was the absolute cornerstone of his Great Crusade. This wasn't some pamphlet he handed out. This was a radical, atheistic, rationalist doctrine that was spread across the entire galaxy. It taught that the universe had laws, that those laws could be understood, and that superstition and religion had absolutely no place in humanity's future. And this wasn't a friendly suggestion either. It was a mandate enforced by the guns of the Space Marine legions and the speeches of his greatest orators.
But you gotta ask, why was he so intense about this? I mean, a full-on war on faith. Well, in his mind, religion was the single biggest threat to humanity's survival, period. He saw it as something that anchors us to fear, that causes endless division and ignorance. But even more than that, he believed it was actively holding us back, preventing us from evolving into a fully psychic species, which he saw as our ultimate destiny. Faith was a cage, and he was dead set on breaking it.
And listen to this. This quote comes straight from the Emperor's own mouth, and it just perfectly captures how brutal and uncompromising his campaign was. No room for debate, no middle ground. The old ways, the old faiths, they had to be wiped from existence completely and utterly.
And believe me, this was not just some philosophical debate club. He made it real. He made it symbolic. He personally went to the last standing church on Terra, on Earth itself, and leveled it. He wanted to send a message so clear it would echo across the stars. The age of gods and faith is over. The age of man has begun.
Okay, so this brings us to another huge misunderstanding about his goals. That massive, galaxy-spanning Imperium he was building, that was never, ever meant to be the final product. It was just a tool.
Right. The oppressive, bureaucratic machine we see in the 41st millennium, that's just a fossil. It's the petrified version of what was supposed to be a temporary structure. He wasn't trying to build a permanent cathedral for people to worship in. He was building a temporary workshop for humanity to evolve in.
Think about it like this. When you build a skyscraper, you put up a scaffold all around it, right? It's strong, it's rigid, it's absolutely necessary to get the job done, but it's not the building. Once the real structure is finished, you tear the scaffold down. Well, the Imperium was meant to be that scaffold. It was a vehicle, a tool, to hold humanity together just long enough for us to evolve, to become a truly psychic race and transcend all our old limits.
And that brings us to the great, tragic irony at the very heart of the entire Warhammer 40,000 universe. the unbelievable gap between what the emperor wanted and the horrifying reality of what he got.
So, let's just run through it one more time. His goal, a united humanity totally free from superstition.
His enemy, the division, the ignorance, the weakness, all caused by faith.
And his legacy? The largest, most oppressive, most fanatical religion the galaxy has ever known. He became the figurehead for the very thing he dedicated his entire existence to destroying, on a scale no one could have ever imagined.
It's just, wow. It's the one question you can't help but ask, right? So, what went wrong? How could a plan so clear, so ruthlessly pursued, fail so catastrophically and end up creating its exact opposite?
Well, the answer is that a vision, no matter how perfect, is a fragile thing. It needs to be executed. And the emperor? Well, he didn't walk the stars alone. His grand design was placed into the hands of his 20 Primarch sons, beings of incredible power, incredible ambition, and incredible, tragic flaws. And that, right there, is where the dream began to die.